we'll be looking at the curve from two views command. This command is always one of my students' favorite because it's so simple to do and it's a really powerful command. What the curve from two views command does is it allows you to use two planar curves and input those to create a third, more complex curve. And let me show you what I mean. Let's click on our freeform curve tool, and in the top view, we'll just drag a simple curve, and let me turn on the control points for that curve, and just make it a little more complex. So we have sort of this lazy M-shaped curve in this top view. And you can see in the front view, this curve is completely planar or totally straight. So what happens if you want to make this curve have a nice wave to it or a dynamic kind of an S shape or something like that? You can come to the front and right viewports and you can drag the control points. And you can drag the control points around and get a nice shaped curve out of it. And that's actually very easy to do. And if we look up in our perspective window, you can see we have a curve that's moving in several directions at once. So you can see in the right, front, and top views, the curve is kind of moving all over these planes. Let me just go ahead and delete this curve. Now let me draw a more complex curve. Now if we turn on the control points for this, you can see we have this S-shaped curve. Well, how do we go about making a nice arc through a curve like this? We can start dragging control points, but you can see there's so many control points here that it's really going to be difficult to line these points up and get everything to go where we want it to be. See, I'm already missing some of the points in here. And it just becomes a real nightmare to kind of control this. And an instance like this is exactly when you would use the curve from two views command. Let me just delete this and we'll start again. So in the top viewport, I'm going to draw what I want the final curve to look like in the top view. Just undo that point there. There we go. And in the front view, I'm going to draw what I want the front view of this curve to look like. Now I want to snap and make sure that my curve is the same length as the previous curve. So I want to snap to the end. I have my smart track on. And I want to make sure I know where the end is going to be. So let me click here and there. So I've lined up at the two endpoints, here and here. I can see a mistake with these curves, but I'll run the command as is, and then we'll talk about why it's not going to work. So if we go up to curve, select curve from two views, and it's saying select the first curve, and now it's saying select second curve. You can see it's asking for a curve extrusion distance. That lets me know something's wrong with these curves. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit escape to exit the command. Now remember, the input you need for a curve from two views is two planar curves. So if I click on this curve, in the top view, it has this nice arc to it. And in the front view, it's completely flat. If I click on this curve in the front view, it has this sweeping arc. And in the top view, it's not completely flat like it should be. There's a very easy way to fix this. We can just go up to Transform and select Set Points. And when this window pops up, it's asking us which direction we want to move all the control points. So in this particular case, if we look over here at the top window, the curves are out of line in the Y direction. So in the Y direction, we want them all to line up. So I make sure that Y is the checked direction. I click OK. And then I can drag this curve wherever I want to place it, or I can type a number. I'm just going to click here to place it. So now you can see I have two curves, they're both planar, and now I should be able to run the curve from two views command. So let me select curve, curve from two views, select first curve, this one, and select second curve. Click on this one, and I can pick these from any viewport. So let me just go ahead and select this from the perspective viewport just to show you. And as soon as I click on this, it'll generate a third command that is a blend of both. Now, if you look in your orthographic viewports, you may not see a whole lot going on. But if I click here, it's telling me there's two curves. And if you look in the perspective viewport, you can see there's two different curves there. And the reason you can only see two curves in each of these viewports is because in the top viewport, this new curve is taking on this exact shape, and in this viewport, the curve is taking on this shape. So I come over here to the perspective window. You can see that I've now created a third curve, this one here, that is the same as this curve from the front, and it's the same as this curve from the top. In order for this command to work properly, these two curves, the input curves, have to start and end in the same locations. So they have to be the same planar distance. Let me go ahead and delete this third input and show you how we'll fix it if they're not the same length. So let me just turn on the control points for this curve here, and I'll grab this one and just stretch it out. So now it's longer than the curve in the top viewport. I can still run the curve without fixing this. And then I click on the second curve. Now it does make a curve, as you can see here, but the curve does not extend the full length of both input curves because they don't match. So we need to fix this before we actually apply the curve. So what we have is another command. It's called Align Profiles. And we can just start typing the word align. It'll show us all the commands available with the word align in them. We can just click on this. Now it's asking for the curve to align to. So I'll pick this curve and then click on this one for the curve to change. So I'll click on that. So you can see it's changed that second curve so the endpoints line up. Now I can use the curve from two views command, and I'm able to control exactly where that curve goes. That concludes our look at the curve from two views command.